This is the question, okay? So this the whole genesis of doing top 100 is I wanted to answer the question: is Citizen Kane the greatest movie of all time? And so I watched 99 movies to answer that question, and I got to the end of it. And Jordan, do you want to know if Citizen Kane is the greatest movie of all time?
Lights! Give me a mic. Thank you. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Orson Welles. I'm speaking for the Mercury Theater, and what follows is supposed to advertise our first motion picture. Citizen Kane is the title, and we hope it can correctly be called a coming attraction. It's certainly coming to this theater, and I think our Mercury act...
I do. Tell me now. Do it. Go.
I don't know. That's a question I've put out into the universe a bunch of times, and this is one of those ones where I'm really hoping when, once again, this inevitably becomes a YouTube video, that somebody in the comments will tell me, is this the greatest movie of all time? Because no. Like, it's a really good movie for reasons that I'm going to get into. It's a very good movie. But it's a very relevant movie. Very relevant movie given what's happening in America. But it's not it's not like I've just seen more influential movies that we've talked about today so far that are better. Like I've just seen better, more technically impressive. Like there's nothing really technically impressive in this movie. Like Star Wars, I would argue, is more influential than this. Like,
So why do people call this the greatest of all time?
I can't really figure out why. Every review I read was just like contemporarily, everyone said it was really really good. It was like a masterpiece, and then like returning reviews said the same thing. Sorry, this is a really long introduction to say that Citizen Kane. Jordan, do you know what Citizen Kane is about? Jordan, okay, let's do this. Jordan, what do you think Citizen Kane is about?
Well, I always thought that Back to the Future, the game, was homaging it with Citizen Brown. So I'm guessing it's about a judge who creates a police state.
Wow, you are very off. No, the only thing. Sorry, I should have done what Jake does. No, no, it has nothing to do. Citizen Brown is really just a reference in name only. Basically, Citizen Kane is about. It's a biographical film about the life of media magnate and mogul Charles Foster Kane. And at the beginning of the movie, you see he is at the end of his life. He's an old man. He dies. He's got a hourglass in his hand, and he's like
Rosebud.
and then he dies. And then the mystery of the movie is, who is Rosebud? Why did he say Rosebud?
It was a sled.
Whoa,
It was a sled.
Okay. He's like, he says, well, who is this Rosebud? And yes, Jordan's already ruined the joke. That's okay. I forgive you. That I knew that twist going into this movie because of that stupid Family Guy bit where, yes, he's indeed like, it was his sled. It was his sled from when he was a child. There, I just saved you, heirs. I just saved you 2 boring, boobless hours.
Rosebud.
Is his sled. It was his sled from when he was a kid. There, I just saved you 2 long, boobless hours.
And that gag, that cutaway, really does completely ruin the end of this movie because you otherwise have no clue. Like, there's no hinting at it. There's no setup for it. There's no rhyme or reason for the sled to. For Rosebud to be the sled, there's no reference to it. There's no acknowledgement of it. The whole thing is this. Yeah, it's this reporter basically interviewing the people in his life and finding out more and more information of how he was like a poor child, and when he was a child his mom had the deed rights to this mine, and as a result gave guardianship to the bank, so the bank raised him until he was 25, at which point he would gain access to his trust and gain all of his money and make him an exceptionally wealthy man instantly. I'm sure that the mining rights probably makes this sound familiar to you. Or do you not know that Elon Musk had mining rights?
I feel like I knew that, but I also tend to try to forget anything and everything to do with the man. So
Fair enough. And so the movie is sort of about various moments in his life. So there's an early moment in his life where he buys a newspaper, and the newspaper, he just kind of prints whatever he wants. He basically uses his money to control the media, and he says like, "Oh, the world needs to be saved, and I'm the guy to do it. I'm the only one who can save the world." Wow, the more I say this aloud,
boy, does that sound familiar.
man, the more I say this aloud, the more this sounds familiar. Wow, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this, but it's creepy how similar this sounds. But he says, "I'm the only one who can save the world," and so he eventually starts to use. The guy's like, "Oh, why did you buy this newspaper?" And it's not for any ideological reason or any like. It's just for fun. He's like, "Oh, I bought it for fun because I could," and he starts to print stories about this this particular war, basically. And he starts propping up this war to benefit and profit from this war, and it's a point where he's like, "Yeah, I want the news to be running 24 hours a day," and the guy's like, and this movie came out like 1941, and the guy's like, "Oh, that's crazy. 24 hours a day, that's insane. That would never happen." And at a point, the guy's like, "You can't print that. That's not true." And he's like, "The news is whatever I want it to be. It's whatever I say it is."
Oh boy, does that sound like the modern day?
Right. It's the movie ultimately makes the case, like I truly believe that he believes he's a good guy and that he believes he's doing good things. But the movie, in my opinion anyway, and I'm sure again people in the comments are going to yell at me and tell me I misunderstood this movie, but in my opinion, the movie makes the case that he can never empathize with regular people. Like, it doesn't matter. Maybe he entered into buying the newspaper. Like, there's a point where he, like, and this is what's really funny to me, is there's a point where he's entering into politics. Like, he's running to become president, and it's discovered that he's cheating on his wife, and a reporter confronts him and threatens to expose him if he drops out of the race. And so he drops out of the race in shame and then ends up leaving his wife anyway and marrying his mistress, whom he forces into an opera career that she doesn't want because he's just a monster. And the whole movie basically kind of ends up being this like origin story to how he's just this really awful guy who just uses his money and power to, like, at the end of the movie, I think towards the end of the movie, his wife says how he just wants people. He doesn't really want to care about people or do good things. He just wants people to do what he tells them to. And the movie's just this really long story of how he's just this awful guy who wants to control everybody. And it kind of, in my opinion, makes the case that he can never empathize with people. Like, no matter how hard he tries, he might have entered into buying the newspaper for good reasons in his mind, but he can never relate to regular people because he got rich too early. And it was kind of scary.
So the real question is, when is the modern version of this movie going to come out where it's perhaps another eccentric billionaire who's become very well known, who bought perhaps a website that used to do tweets,
a media company, yeah, right.
If you will, and who has this story very much makes me think of.
And maybe that's the argument for what makes this the greatest movie of all time. Is like it's still upsettingly relevant, and it's, for me, it's always hard to take an anti-billionaire movie seriously when it's coming from, like, it's written and directed by Orson Welles, and to be fair, wealth in the 1930s was different, so maybe he wasn't a millionaire at the time, but maybe he wasn't, maybe as an actor, writer, director, performer, he wasn't ultra wealthy, but like my understanding of that kind of like celebrity is that they're wealthy, right? So it's hard for me to take what is in my opinion an anti-wealth movie, seriously from a guy who's wealthy. But yeah, at the end of the movie, the reporter who's trying to figure out who Rosebud is never finds out who Rosebud is, and the only reason why you find out who Rosebud is the final shot of the movie is the sled. They're burning all of his crap, and the final shot is his sled from when he was a kid sitting on a fire burning, and you see the name Rosebud on it. And that's when you find out that Rosebud was the sled. But otherwise, there's no remote indication as to who Rosebud would be. So, like, yeah, I guess it would be a good twist if I didn't know. Because obviously, if not for that Family Guy bit, I wouldn't know that. But it's not a really well-established twist. Like, there's no hints to it, which, in my opinion, that's what makes a good twist. Is like, if you could spot it, that means that the groundwork is being laid for it. There's no real groundwork laid for this because they want you to think, obviously, Rosebud is a woman. Yeah, man, it's weird how... But yeah, so, the ultimate question of, like, is it the greatest movie of all time? It's also... Orson Welles is phenomenally charismatic. Like, he's so good as Charles Foster Kane. Like, he's phenomenal. The character is fascinating. If you're like me and you really like really good character studies, it's really good. Is it the greatest movie of all time? What makes the greatest movie of all time, Jordan? That's my question.
I don't think that there can ever be one which is better than every other movie ever made ever. That's a pretty bold statement.
Right, there's so many movies that are really good, that are newer, that I'm like, I've said it at the time, of the movies today, there are movies that I think are better movies than that. Like, don't give me, like, the thing that I think maybe kind of bums me out a little bit is I kind of wish I'd hated it, so I could come at it and be like, no, I don't like this movie, but like, no, man, I really like that movie. It's a really good movie. And if you like real good character studies, that's basically what it is. Like, it's hard for me. I'm gonna be like, yeah, man, if you like really good movies, it's totally worth watching. And it's one of those ones that it's in black and white, but it's still completely, it's not one of those, like, it's so old it's hard to watch. Like, some movies hit that point where, like, they look really degraded. They're hard to watch because they're really, really old. This is not. This is really good. It's like, yeah, totally worth watching. Totally worth it. Is it the greatest? I don't know, but it definitely deserves to be on a list of one of the greatest movies of all time. Considering it's from 1941 and it is upsettingly relevant as we like have unpackaged today.
Yeah.
Upsettingly unpackaged today.
Yeah. There's definitely comparisons that could be made, that's for sure.
We definitely noticed some of them unintentionally. Like, it's funny, the first time I watched it, I really compared him to Donald Trump, but like, man, he really is Elon Musk, right down to those mining rights.
Yeah, not so familiar with that, but
And
you know,
he took over a newspaper, which is like, the 1930s equivalent to Twitter.
that I will compare. I will say I see the comparison.
Is that a millennial thing or Gen Z thing?
Or if you will, if you're done. Are you done?
Well, I want to make one more Elon Musk joke, which is
okay, because I was gonna use the perfect segue.
Perfect. Okay, wait. My final Elon Musk joke is, and I keep meaning to make this into a TikTok. I'm probably still gonna do it after this, but Jordan, how long till Elon Musk names America, or what is Elon Musk gonna name America, Jordan? The United States of X-America? The United X States?
No, he'll call it the Cyber Nation.
Oh yeah, okay. But no, but he names everything X though, Jordan. That's the.
Oh, then it'll be America X.
America X. I was like the United X States of X America.
No. That's he'll be like, no, we're gonna streamline it and make it more aerodynamic, and it'll be America X.
He'll just call it X, and we'll be like, which one, the website or the country?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's Citizen Kane.
Hey everybody, it's NCAR Justin here again, proving that me and Jordan are in fact sophisticated as we talk about Citizen Kane. But do you agree, is Citizen Kane the greatest movie of all time? Feel free to tell me why I'm wrong, or feel free to leave a movie that you think is better than Citizen Kane. Either way, leave a comment down in the comments down below. But if you would like to see the full episode that this video is from, you can click the video on the left. Otherwise, you can click the video on the right, and YouTube will take you to a random video they think you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, leave us a like, and have a good day, everybody.